Albert, they still don't have your name spelled right. All right.
Could we do a check? I can't hear anyone.
All right. Improve my audio.
Oh, hi. Okay. How are we doing on members, Valerie?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you there, Valerie?
7, 8.
I had a terrible time getting on, and she's nearby. Maybe we're slim on bandwidth. Is that a stage backdrop, Mr. Or is that your real backdrop?
It's my real backdrop.
But did you stage it?
Yeah.
Not virtual.
Is the cactus a little too far to the right? Is that what you suggest? No, I actually with school. No, I didn't stage it. Well, I staged myself, I guess technically, but no, it's like shelving that I made out of old like bleacher seats from an old gymnasium.
Oh, I noticed that you did not, however, turn books so we could read the names of them.
Oh, right. No, there's nothing
Just show off.
Yeah, right. I got to learn how to read at some point.
Where do you live now?
I live in the West Village.
In the same apartment?
On Cornelia Street.
Oh,
sorry,
you moved. So she moved there.
Who moved here?
I thought you had moved when you got married.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
My wife and I, we were living together, and so we stayed here.
Oh, she was already there.
Yeah, living in sin.
My upstairs tenants are returning married this weekend.
Oh.
I've got to get my present ready too.
Albert, who cut your hair?
Huh?
I'm curious who cut Albert's hair. Looks good. Yeah, never mind.
Hi, everybody.
Anita.
I haven't seen you in a while.
You're back.
I guess I kind of left you. I'm sorry. Are we having presentations tonight?
Are we what?
Having presentations? Do they present it?
I hope so.
Oh, good. So.
Valerie's not here, and I'm puzzled, but I know she's tried mightily.
She's here. She's here.
Oh, there she is.
Hey, Valerie.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
Oh, there you are. Did you have a terrible time getting on?
No, no.
Oh, I did. I thought maybe our neighborhood was deprived of bandwidth. Okay, we can begin. Have you organized, or you know who they are?
No, there was no, we didn't get the list ahead of time, so.
Oh, this is Doris.
Hi, Doris.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, we're gathered.
Yeah, I think that we should just,
Oh, are the presenter, is the first presenter here?
oh,
What's the first case?
we could just ask who's here for the first case and we'll just go through that.
Okay.
Which one?
462 is the first one, Broadway.
Okay. All right.
And then 121 West 11th, 247 West 10th, and 257 West 4th.
You're going
I
too
just
fast.
looked
I got
into it.
462 Broadway. What is the next one?
121 West 11th.
Great, so if you're here
Okay.
for 462 Broadway, you could just raise your hand and I will promote you to a panelist.
Okay, we only have presenters, right? As far as you can tell on the list. Just let me say to everyone who's presenting, please be as brief as you can. We know the history, we know the neighborhoods backwards and forwards, we know the architecture of the neighborhoods. We'll have your and we'll follow along. It's important to say the number of the page you're on each time because we have one member on the phone who can't see the screen, but she has
That's right.
the presentations before her. She has the presentations before her, and we'll follow along if you just say the page number. Okay, the first is 462 Broadway. Application to modify wooden door, wooden infill, and 2-story, one on Broadway, one on Grand Street, to accommodate one ATM in each location.
Samuel, you had your hand up, so I promoted you to a panelist. Are you here for 460 Broadway?
I'm here. This is, so can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. That's a good start.
Can you mute everybody except
Okay.
the presenter and me?
Well, this is page one. Good evening. I'm Sam White from PBDW Architects. And raise your hands if you have trouble hearing me or if you think I'm speaking too fast or too indistinctly. We represent Meringoff Equities, who are the owners of 462, and Wells Fargo Bank, who are the tenant that is behind this evening's application.
I'm sorry, just one moment. Is somebody's mic open, Valerie? I'm getting two sounds at
Sorry,
once.
let me mute everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, sir. Continue.
Okay. Assuming you can still hear me. Let's go page down here. Hold on. All right. 462, as you know, is at the corner of Broadway and Grand Street in Crosby in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District. It was constructed in 1880 for the Mills and Gibbs store at 6 stories high, 400 feet of street frontage, and making it the largest all cast iron building in the district. These photos show the store in its prime back in the days when everybody used awnings, which were wonderful. But it fell on hard times. I'm now on slide number 5, I believe, in the mid-20th century. And while we all regret losing the French Culinary Institute restaurant, I don't think anybody misses the red granite that so it made it stand out. And in 2015, our firm began a full exterior facade restoration, which included stripping and repainting the facade, replacing broken or missing cast iron, replacing the majority of the windows in the upper floors, and installing new ground level storefront windows in accordance with a master plan that was approved by LPC. The picture in the lower right shows the new storefront from the interior. We could never take a picture of the exterior while it was under construction because it was all enclosed in a sidewalk shed. But all those windows are brand new. They are amazing. They're 12 feet tall. Wells Fargo Bank is leased, I'm now on page 6. Wells Fargo Bank has leased the space at the corner of Broadway and Grand, and they're applying for permission to install exterior elements that are part of bank operations as well as brand identity. Some of these items can be approved by LPC at staff level, but a number of elements will require approval at a public hearing, which is why we're here in front of you tonight. That includes, you will see a canopy over the doors, wall-mounted ATMs, and yellow strip lights that are mounted inside the glass at the edge of the windows.
Sir, we don't have anything except the ATMs. The canopy, you say, and what is the other thing that you're?
The canopy, over the doors, the wall-mounted ATMs, and then you will see in this presentation there's a yellow strip light, a sort of LED tape that's being added to the corner of the windows around the bank property. So you will see that in the renderings. I apologize for
so
not
those are the
that.
3 items then.
Those are the 3 items that we believe will require a public hearing. There are a number of items you'll see which
I understand. Okay.
confident can be approved at staff level.
We're glad to know about them, but they don't need any details.
Okay. I'm on drawing number 7. These red rectangles indicate where the ATMs are going to be located on Grand Street at the bottom and on Broadway at the left of the plan. Number 8 shows the removal of the storefront bay on Grand Street in plan and its replacement with an ATM. And drawing number 9 shows the context of that removal in the context of the entire elevation. Drawing number 10 shows the proposed Grand Street elevation with the in sort of larger detail. You can start to see the yellow, little yellow line at the edge of the windows. You see the ATM and the doors. Drawing number 10 shows or drawing number 11 rather, shows a more detailed view of the removal of that element. Remember, that's one of the storefront windows that we put in about 3 years ago. This drawing number 12 shows that, in fact, 3 storefronts will be worked on, just for the benefit of those who walk by the site. 2 of those are going to be replaced with doors, and we already have LPC approval for that. The 3rd will be the ATM. This slide, which is number 13, shows what the area will look like after the installation of the yellow strip lights, the door, the red canopy over the door, and the ATM. The ATM is going to be set in a modified storefront with black glass immediately around it. That is to say, regular glass back painted black, and it will have a projecting hood. The hood is required to protect the user. I think it's a regulation, and provide enough light to be able to use the ATM at night. And that will be painted green to match the color of the window trim throughout the building. The height of the ATM has to conform to ADA. We looked at a lot of different options for how to surround this. I mean, the idea of we put 2 doors in and then cut it into the doors and adjust it to paneling. And we looked at a lot of different ways of doing it, but decided that what I'll describe as a straight insertion was the most sympathetic to the overall program of the storefront. That Wells Fargo's signage program includes that yellow strip light, as you see, and if and when the bank moves out, the design for the storefront, the window frame, the sill, the glass, the metal screen base, can be easily replaced. These were all made 3 years ago and can be made again today quite easily. The next 6 slides, which would be 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, show essentially the same intervention as applied to Broadway, the removal of the doorway, of the window rather, the insertion of a ATM, a canopy over the door, and the yellow lights. It shows the photograph shows the areas where this will be affected. This drawing again shows the removal of the window frame to modify it, and then the drawing number 15 shows the proposed design on Broadway with the ATM, the green protective canopy over that, the doorway. This will be the main entrance to the bank, the red canopy over that, and then the Wells Fargo fascia sign above that, which will be Landmarks had approved mounting that sign at an angle to the street, so tilted toward the street. Wells Fargo will be asking for that sign to be mounted vertically. That's what they were looking for. The drawing number 17 showed the drawing number 16 rather shows. Lost my place here. Drawing, I think this is 16, shows the details of the sign and the canopy, and then drawing number 16 shows that there are not many examples of wall-mounted ATMs, particularly in historic districts in New York City. There are a lot next door to bodegas, but these ATMs on the left are in Sheridan Square. I'm sure they have been around for a while. And the ATMs on the right are in Ireland. They're in Dublin, just off St. Stephen's Green. And I put this photo in because ATMs are a lot more common in Europe than they are in New York City. And even in Europe in the most historic areas. I mean, this is St. Stephen's Green is a highly, highly protected area of Dublin. And it shows that these are elements that are now become not only sort of acceptable, but almost expected in a way. And so I think the goal is to design it in a way that does not clash with the historic nature of the neighborhood. This shows the full program in place, the fascia sign, the canopy over the door, the yellow strips around the windows, and then you can just see the green canopy projecting over the ATM. Those bays are quite deeply recessed behind the columns. So I hope that you will find that that this is a reconciliation of both the commercial nature of the activity and the historic character of the neighborhood. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but that brings me to the end of my presentation. You're muted. Mr. Schnell, you're muted.
Would you go back, please, to the elevation that shows the insertion and the yellow tape?
Which we could do this one. Yes.
There.
This is the Broadway.
And what number is this?
Ooh la la. I got your message about keeping track of the numbers. This is the, I think this
Doris
is the,
Doris, just a moment. Doris is the elevation that
this shows. Is the fourth to last.
No, go back to the one that we had. There.
Yeah, this is the fourth to last.
Okay, just a second. Doris, this shows is the picture of the ATM machine in red, and red on the doors, and Wells Fargo on the top, and yellow lines. Okay, in the bay that's in question with the ATM, is the glass removed and then two pieces of glass inset and the ATM is through the lower section of glass?
That's correct.
I'm not clear what's behind the ATM.
Well, it's actually, that's, there's going to be a little room right behind the ATM. And that is why that glass at street level will be painted black so that you can't see the guy loading up the ATM.
And then above it is clear glass. Right.
Above it could be clear glass. I haven't seen a design for this little room, but given the height of this, yes, the above it.
Okay, as long as we know what the glass is. Now the canopy, the green canopy.
Yes.
Oh, what are the dimensions of it?
Well, it's going to be the width of the bay, so it's going to be approximately 6 feet wide. It's going to project out, let's see if I have a dimension on that.
2 feet.
I think it's going to project in the order of 2 feet out from the glass. I don't think I have that exact.
Yep. You just passed it. You had a section detail of it showing that
Yeah.
it's 2 feet deep on page 19.
Yeah, that was the canopy.
You've got the section.
Oh, I see the thing. Oh, okay, hang on.
There, it's there. I just can't read it.
Okay, this section.
Yeah.
This section.
The section on the right.
Oh, hold on.
Section on the right.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I was about your photographs were all blocking that, so I couldn't see it. There it is, 2 feet.
Yes.
Got it in one.
And how thick or how tall or everyone described. The drawing
I would
just
say, I'd
before
say
that
in the
showed-
order,
Okay,
of
I'll
6
take that up.
inches. Say 8 inches, I'd
Okay.
say. 8 inches. And that has a light fixture inside it.
Okay, now I've got that. The yellow tape, I'm unclear of, does it go on, is it just, it's not clear what it does.
It would be a electrically powered LED tape with that emits a
where
yellow
is it?
light. I'm
Is
sorry.
it glued to the back of the,
It's glued to the back of the glass. Yes.
and is it only on 2 sides?
It is on. It's on all the bank's windows. Let's just see. So this, yeah. So there's the ATM is the
Okay,
is
the
the
question
end
is
of
the
the
tape.
bank's property there, and then here we have it on the windows. It's on when you get right next to the ATM, it's on 2 sides of the windows. As you get removed from the ATM, it is only on 1 side of the windows. So that this elevation shows it's in Bay B West. It is on 1 side of the windows. This is the full Grand Street elevation for the benefit of the person who does not have.
Is it then intended to be on all of the bank windows except the window with ATM? Some yellow
That is
tape
correct.
around.
Or the windows that have the cast iron panels in them.
Okay,
Or have it.
I think it's clear then.
Chenault, do you mind if I ask
one
a
second,
question?
I'm just reviewing my notes here. I think I have everything. How many bank windows are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17, 18 bays, including windows, 18 bays of which 2 are doors and 2 are ATMs and 2 are cast iron panels.
So that's 12 bays with lights in it.
With glass, yeah. This is one of the interesting things about this building is the ground floor is relatively high with respect to the street. I mean, it's why I think it was a problem to rent this to retail. They like the ground floor to be a lot closer to the sidewalk level. So I can remember years ago when I moved to New York first, that banks were considered to be the worst thing that ever happened to the streetscape. And here, I think it's actually a welcome element on the streetscape. Retail was not that interested in it.
Okay, have you finished your presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Valerie, will you organize the committee to ask questions, please?
Sure. I see that Susan has her hand raised.
Hi, yes, I have a question regarding any sort of precedent in the district for either that acrylic strip lighting. Also, is there a precedent for the installation of ATMs in a cast iron building within the historic district? Both the ATM and the strip lighting are, of course, massively dissonant with this incredibly beautiful building. And I'm just wondering if you can cite any precedents in the district.
I'd sell my mother to give you a precedent, but
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No, I don't think it's massively dissident as much as it's massively unprecedented. I have not found any precedents for ATMs in cast iron buildings in the historic district. In terms of the strip lights, the closest element that I've found is not in your district, but is on the Ladies Mile Historic District. There's a Gap store on Fifth Avenue and 16th Street where they did something very similar to this using colored 2-inch diameter fluorescent tubes. So it's a giant way of framing the window with light. These I think would be a little bit more subdued.
So the answer is no.
Oh, the answer is no. The answer was no from the very beginning.
Okay. Are there further questions?
Okay, so I have,
Susan, you finished? Sorry, Susan, you're finished.
Can I be heard just for a second? I've been waving.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you, Sandy, because of the screen share.
Okay. There's many ATMs now attached, with banks are inside a doorway. Is there room inside the lobby or the entryway to install 2 ATM machines?
Again, the short answer is yes. But what's happened with, and this I think you should talk to anybody involved in banks, is that these vestibules for ATMs become sort of temporary living quarters for some of our more mobile citizens. And the banks end up having to put full-time security guards in this just to keep them from becoming hotels. And so they would prefer, in many cases, to have it on the outside.
okay, so I have 3 items. I noticed that the signage for the street numbers, the 462 or 460 or whatever it is, they're totally inconsistent. And I'm wondering why that can't be made consistent on that building so that we see the same kind of numbering and text logo.
Are you talking about this elevation here?
That's correct.
Yes, I think that could easily be done. I think you're looking at
Yeah, I'm just
thoughtlessness.
I certainly have to wonder why under one building owner, that there's such a...
Well, actually, one thing, the letters on the left over that's the entrance to the building itself, and those letters, I believe, are metal letters that are projecting up above a canopy. So we could certainly put metal letters on the canopy over the bank. We could use the same device, but they're very different. One is a metal letter on the left and the other is painted on glass, but we could change that if that was something that was important to you.
So the other 2 things that I have to comment about are that first of all, I appreciate that the canopy, the small canopy over the ATM is in the dark green, which is matching, as I understand, all of the other metal around it. Whereas canopy over the door is in this bright red, and it sticks out much further. And I find that to be very obtrusive. And you already have the Wells Fargo logo sign above the door, and that should be enough.
If I can defend it, you have to find the door. I mean, the door, you have the Wells Fargo sign on 2 corners there, on the 2 sides of the corner, and it's only over the door on Broadway. It's not over the door on Grant Street. And you're walking down the street. I think you would, as a way of kind of navigating or wayfinding, I think you would appreciate seeing a a discrete canopy that suggested that that's where you might expect to find a door. So that's the defense for that.
Well,
As to your reaction, I can't argue with that. Everybody's reaction is
I'm looking at this image that you're showing right now in your screen sharing,
yeah.
and I don't see just one door with one red canopy. I see
No.
two of them.
Yeah, they're true. The
And-
doors are next to the ATMs, yes.
Okay, the ATM canopy is dark green. The door canopy is bright red, and I find that to be very obtrusive. And I think that the canopy sticking out as it is enough. The last item that I want to say is that the ATM color itself, whereas the examples that you showed seem to blend in with the color of the surroundings, whereas these, you don't have it in a dark green, you have it in a different color. So it's
Yes,
not a neutral
again-
color. Let me
again,
say,
we're
say it's
dealing
not a
with-
neutral color.
No, no, it is not. We're dealing with corporate branding here. And if this were a Chase Bank moving into this location, it would probably be blue. If it were I forgot what's the name of the bank, the TD Bank uses green. I mean, these banks have gone for big, bold colors as a way of distinguishing themselves. So you're looking at a corporate branding program there.
I guess just before I leave, I would agree with Chanel that this yellow strip lighting, I don't see any justification for that. That sounds very ugly.
Are there other,
Can
Yeah.
somebody call on me?
We have other.
Oh, okay.
Mustafa, do you not have a question anymore? I don't know.
are the committee
Mustafa?
finished?
No, I have a question.
Anita has a question, but
Okay.
Mustafa also had his hand raised.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was going to make a comment about the strip light as well, but
Okay,
I feel
great.
like that's a
Thank
whole,
you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, though.
Sure, Anita.
Can you hear me? I find that the overall project is very disjointed. The signs on this beautiful corner, beautiful building with the beautiful sign band, it's trying to eliminate anything about the building, both in its placement, its color. I don't know. I understand showing the entrance. I can see how that could be a big problem. And I believe that the bank goes all the way to the other side where the other entrance is. They have that whole
Yes.
ground floor.
Well, they have 18 bays on the ground floor.
I see.
They don't have
Well,
the north half of the Broadway frontage.
I think
and they don't-
I really, I mean, I have to be honest. I think that it looks very inappropriate and, you know, not for this neighborhood. You did show a beautiful photograph from the 1893 that shows you saying, oh, in the days when there were awnings. Well, put awnings all the way around and make it red and, you know, have Wells Fargo on it. That has a reference. You even have a photograph, and it could be really quite fabulous. But this is just sticking branding on top of a building with very little sensitivity. And it doesn't even reflect anything of the entrance right next to it, which is quite stylized to I guess, the upper floors. You know, it doesn't nod its head to anything. It's just trying to fit into the box. So that's my opinion.
Other
Great.
members?
Yeah, if
I'm
there are
done.
other members of the committee. Otherwise, we have 2 questions from other CB2 members.
Okay.
So it looks like so there's no other committee members with comments. So I'll call on Michael Levine next. Michael? Okay, we'll go on to Eugene then for now. Oh, Michael, you've got to unmute yourself. There we go. Michael?
Okay, let me give it a try now. Anita has made a recommendation perhaps for awnings around this very, very handsome building that would make it uniform to, again, exemplify how beautiful the cast iron facades are on both streets. But I have a problem with the color itself. I know that the red is, in fact, the corporate branding, but given as you've only shown it in 2 locations that pop out at us, which are very discordant with the building, is red necessary? Could another color be used? Is the corporate client insisting on red? Is there a way to make it less of a pop out to us if in fact the design will go ahead as it is? Is red the absolute required color? Is there another option that could be used to make it less of a discordant element given the beautiful 2 facades of this building?
If that's a question for the applicant, I couldn't answer. I couldn't speak for the Wells Fargo.
Okay, we'll just have to take it as it's presented then. We're waiting for you.
Is the applicant not having another response to that? If not, go to the next, Eugene.
No response.
Okay, Eugene?
Thanks. So I guess my question is around the number of ATMs. I mean, there's 2 that are, I guess, on the external facade. Are there any internal to the bank at all? I live in the area, and I do know that, the Chase that is, I think, a block or 2 up has, I think, 2 or 3 in their vestibule, and they're at peak times pretty much always busy. So I'm wondering, are there other ATMs internal to this Wells Fargo?
There are. The short answer is yes. The 2 ATMs reflect a usage. I believe they have in the neighborhood, they have a temporary installation with their ATMs, and they track the traffic on those ATMs, and there are sort of rules of thumb for how much traffic a single ATM can handle. And so they're into the 2 ATM range for the exterior ATM, and they would have, in addition to that, interior ATMs. But they feel that the 2 are necessary on the outside given the expected traffic.
Oh, okay, does that exhaust the question? I'm sorry.
So I guess so the answer is there are additional ATMs inside?
Yes.
Besides the 2? Okay. And the 2 external are simply for they're external because
when the bank is closed.
Reasons?
Well, the bank, when about bankers' hours, the bank is closed. Yeah.
So there's no after-hour access.
No.
It's okay.
So even those 2 internal, the internal ATMs are also not accessible after hours?
That is correct. The internal ones would not be accessible after hours.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you.
If everyone's finished, I'd like to go back to the rendering that we looked at before that shows the ATMs and the either one.
Is that what you were asking for?
Unbanned. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Spence, I can't hear you.
Can you repeat your question, Chanel?
Where the ATM, where the Wells Fargo sign is yes. Not a sign band. Is that correct?
No, it is a sign band. The sign band, there's an existing metal grid sign band there. Those sign bands are set at an angle to the sidewalk, and
I'm sorry. It looks like molding. That's why I asked. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. I'm terribly disturbed about cutting into the facade at all, but particularly cutting into the grading. Are there no places that the bulkhead would not have to be invaded?
No, there's no area.
To me, that is what just. Yeah. I'd almost rather have the bulkhead taken away. I think or something. It's just.
It's we as I say,
it just looks like a mistake.
Yeah, we looked at a
But it
number of
filled out.
schemes. I mean, we put wooden panel doors in there and then arranged the panels so that they framed the ATM. And whereas they looked sort of, if you just looked at the bay, they looked good. It just introduced, the whole element was foreign to the rhythm of the storefront. And so
I think that's what the original one we had. Okay, well, that's just the invasion. All right, that's fine then. Thank you very much. Assuming everyone's finished, the committee.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to, if we can stop the screen share, we're done. Thanks. So Samuel, I'm going to move you back to an attendee. And next
is one. Sorry.
Yes.
Next is 121 West 11th Street, application to replace windows in the front facade, install a rooftop addition and a rear addition and a rear yard and cellar excavation.
Great. I'm going to be promoting Jackie, but Chenault, we do have a question from a member of the public. How do you want to handle that?
Oh, the one we just had.
I think so.
Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah. We should do it. Sorry, I didn't realize it.
1 second. Pete.
Hi. Yes. Thank you. As the applicant stated, there are certain things that can be done at staff level. The reason the yellow strip lighting can't be done at staff level and has to come to the community is because there is an express regulation that outlaws any type of lighting at the perimeter of windows. So what they're asking you to do is approve something that is strictly outlawed. So we've fought long and hard over this various illumination in Soho. This is totally inappropriate. And I really urge the committee in the strongest terms to tell the commission that this is not only inappropriate, it's non-contextual, there's no precedent, and it's really jarring in this bright yellow color. Also, as Chenault pointed out, to insert these ATMs, you have to cut away historic fabric of the building. That is something that the Landmarks Commission looks very lowly upon. And I really urge you not to look at it in terms of, well, how can we make this fit? That it will just, to do it, you must destroy historic fabric of the building. The purpose of the Landmark District is not to conform to a corporate brand. The purpose of the Landmark District is to preserve and protect the historic buildings of the district. And I really urge the committee to stand strong on that in this case. Wells Fargo exists now across the street. They have internal ATMs at that location. I've lived on these streets for 40 years. I'm not aware of any sort of, I believe the applicant termed it a hotel for folks who who are homeless. I'm not aware of that up and down Broadway and the number of internal ATM vestibules that exist in the other banks, none of which have external ATMs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to move you. Great. Also, Chenault, before we move on to the next one, we did have, I didn't ask Doris if she had any questions. Sorry.
Okay, if somebody has a question, we want to finish this one.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Pete. I'm going to lower your hand. Do you want the, Chenault, I see that Samuel has his hand raised. I don't know if you want him to be able to respond to what Pete said or not.
Oh, yeah, if it needs a response. I think he just repeated what we said.
Oh, okay, so no response. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Also, in answer to Pete's, or in reply to Pete, my point about the
You froze up, Cheryl.
So we had numerous written oppositions to this application.
Oh, okay. Did you want to, you said that you received numerous oppositions to this.
Yeah, I just put it, that's how we put it in the minutes.
Okay, great.
We don't say who and all that.
I don't know, Ronnie Wolf is not an applicant, so let me see if, oops. Ronnie, did you have a question about a specific item related to number 1?
I would just like to comment and follow up on Pete's and make a note to the community board that I actually live across the street and can see into Wells Fargo's interior vestibules where their ATMs are presently. And there is nobody living inside of those vestibules. I'd also like to mention that the space that they're taking over is huge and it has plenty of room inside to accommodate additional ATMs, that they do not have to be outside. I am concerned that the ATMs will bring more crime to this area where there's very little pedestrian traffic after the retailers close. And it's also very scary because cars can pull up and park along Broadway and wait for somebody who is going to be using the ATM. So I would hope that you will deny this applicant. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to move you back. All right, Jackie, where did you go? Okay, now we're moving on to, oops, hold on. 1 second. Sorry, the names move and then I
hate
that.
that.
The wrong person. So
Where'd they go?
Gwendolyn, apologize on that. Oh shoot. All right, Jackie, are you with us? You got to unmute yourself, Jackie.
Okay, my apologies. Am I good to go? Okay. Yeah. So thank you, first of all, committee, for hearing our application tonight. My name is Jackie Kuduvalin. I'm the preservation consultant for this project, 121 West 11th Street. I'm here tonight with Raul Medeiros of Imagine Architecture. Raul, are you there? I can't see other faces. And he's going to be.
I will promote him to a panelist. Sorry, I didn't know you guys.
Okay. Yes, I do need him on because he's going to be sharing his screen and he's going to be the one running our presentation. Is that all right?
I think I just unmuted myself.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
We hear you.
Now let me share the screen.
Okay, great. Perfect. We see it. Is there a way to make it full screen? Because we're just make it a little larger. It might be easier for people to see. That's perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
So the project we're showing you tonight is 121 West 11th Street, an 1840s Greek Revival row house that stands on the north side of the street between 6th and 7th Avenues in the Greenwich Village Historic District. The proposed work includes installing 1/1 wood windows at the front facade, constructing a rooftop addition with railing and mechanical equipment on top of it, constructing a rear addition, and excavation at the cellar and the rear yard. There's also associated restorative work, but that's being handled at staff level at Landmarks. Next slide, please, page 2. Here are photos of the house in the 1930s and a designation in 1969. 121 was built as part of a row with the houses on the right in the designation photo. So you're looking at 121, 119, 117, 115, and on toward the avenue. Those were all originally one row constructed together. Next page, please, number 3. The north side of the street is characterized by brick row houses of the same period. And as you can probably see a bit here, many of them already have large rooftop additions that predate designation. And on the south side of the street, there's a mid-20th century school complex. Page 4, please. In the 1890s, this house underwent significant alteration. It was kind of, I think of it as keeping up with the Joneses. The roof was raised so that the top of its facade is now taller than the cornice lines of the adjacent houses in its row, which you see to the right. A pressed metal bracketed cornice was installed, consistent with that period toward the end of the 19th century. Likewise, profiled projecting lintels were installed, replacing the flat lintels of its original Greek Revival design. 1/1 windows were installed, replacing the original multi-light windows of the early 19th century. A pair of glazed doors were installed in front of the extant wood-paneled doors at the front door. And very elaborate curving wrought iron railings were installed at the stoop and areaway. What we're proposing at the front facade is to install 1/1 wood windows, which we think would still be in keeping with the spirit and the look of this 1890s alteration. Next slide, please, number 5. Here's just some detailed photos of the existing 1/1 double hung wood windows. Page 6, please. Here are some detailed drawings of the proposed windows. The existing brick molds will be refurbished and retained. Page 7, please. Here in this proposed elevation, you can see the proposed rooftop addition, which with its 36-inch tall railing and generator on top, will still be shorter than the existing rooftop addition that's on the top of 123 West 11th. Page 8, please. Here are photos taken from the roof. In the bottom right photo is that 2-story addition I was just referencing that's next door at 123, which our proposed addition will be seen up against. Page 9, please. Here are the existing and proposed roof plans. The proposed addition will set back 7 feet from the front facade. A mechanical unit is proposed to stand in front of it on the south end of the roof. At the rear north end of the roof, a terrace is proposed. A 72-inch tall fence is also proposed to separate the front and rear portions of the roof. On the roof of the addition, a new generator is proposed, as well as a kitchen exhaust and perimeter railing. The reason the generator will be proposed on top of the addition's roof is because it needs an 8-foot clearance by code because of its need to vent. And this roof would be accessed by a ladder attached to the addition. Page 10, please. Here are sections showing the existing rooftop and the proposed. One section is taken through the addition and one section is taken through the flat terrace area to the east. Here you can see that the height to the roof of the addition will be about 9 foot 4 inches. There's a 6-inch high perimeter curb necessary to flash and waterproof the addition's roof, and then a 3-foot tall railing will sit on top of that. Page 11, please. Here are photos of the mock-up taken from the roof. On the photo in the bottom right corner, you can see how this addition will abut the 2-story addition next door. Also note the envelope of the occupiable space and the railing have been outlined in orange in the photo in the bottom right corner. Page 13, please. This is, let's see, here's a panorama photo stitched together showing you the mock-up, these photos taken from the roof. Page 13, please. In this rendering, you can see the proposed addition and materials for the work at the roof. Page 14, please. Here are the mock-up visibility photos taken from across the street and from the west and east on 11th Street. The mock-up is visible from the east, but it is seen in the context of that very large addition on the neighboring house. And what you're seeing in that zoomed in photo in the bottom right is mostly the 3-foot tall railing. Page 15, please. Here are additional photos of the mock-up as one travels east on 11th to 6th Avenue. The architect has included a rendering based on that middle photograph. The rendering's on the right, showing that the portion of the addition that's visible over the party wall will be minimal, and most of what you'll be seeing is the railing and the exhaust duct. Page 16, please. Here's the existing building section. Here you can see the adjacent additions on the house at number 123 beyond. Page 17, please. Here you can see the proposed rooftop addition, the rear addition, which will extend 4 feet past the line of the existing wall. And you can also see the excavation of the cellar, which will be done by underpinning the walls. Page 18, please. Here are the lines of sight as viewed from 2 points across the street to the east. And next slide, page 19. Here are the lines of sight as viewed from 2 points across the street to the west. Page 20, please. Here's an axonometric view that shows you the massing of the proposed rear addition, what it would actually look like, as well as the work at the roof. Page 21, please. And here's the existing rear facade of 121, which is the center photograph. You can also see that in the left photo, which are houses of the same row, that the rears of those houses have also been added to over time. And the rear of 121 already projects past the plane of the other houses in the row, which was also in and of itself a later alteration. And we're going to explain that. Page 22, please. These are massing studies that are taken from historic maps, showing how the rears of 121 and the other houses in its row have changed over time. 121 and the adjacent houses in its row originally had wood T-porches. So, and by 1916, 121's T-porch had been replaced by a masonry addition, full height masonry addition. So from that, we point out that there is precedent for change at the rear of these houses, including this house in and of itself. Page 23, please. Here's the existing block plan in which we've superimposed the proposed additions for this house. Page 24, please. Here's an elevation drawing showing the existing and proposed rear facades. Page 25, please. This is the window and door system proposed for the rear addition. Note the wide center transom, which is meant to recall the floor beyond it. Page 26. And this is showing us the proposed rear yard excavation and existing conditions in the rear yard. Next slide, please, 27. Here are the plans for the proposed rear yard, just larger. Note that the rear of the yard will still maintain a green space, a planted area with a lower and an upper planting area. Next slide, please, 28. These are just sections meant to explain the change in grade at the rear yard. Next slide, please, 29. And these sections show us 2 different views of the proposed additions, which are in the red hatching. Next slide, please. And here you can compare the change in grade that's proposed in this rear yard to the adjacent grade of the rear yards next door. Next slide, please. And this is a rendering showing us what the proposed rear addition would look like. Excuse me. And the rear yard, obviously. Next slide. And this is just our ending slide, recapping again so you can see what the proposed front and rear would look like. And then I welcome your questions and comments. Thank you.
Couple of questions to be clear about the distance from the roof to the top of the, is the generator higher than the railing or lower than the railing?
It's slightly,
whatever the highest point is.
It's slightly taller, and I would like to actually ask the architect to answer that because he will have the the more technical aspects of these machines more easily explained than I will. So go ahead, Raul, please.
Sure. The generator is 46 inches tall, and
the question is what is the distance from the roof to the tallest point?
So
overall height, including the generator, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One second. Yeah. It's approximately 13 and a half feet.
Okay, I'm sorry to go back. The windows are simply being replaced with, I assume, more energy efficient ones, and they won't look any different to the naked eye. Is that it?
Yes, they'll be
In the
new.
front.
Right.
front.
I mean, they will be more energy efficient just because they'll be new and they'll be double glazed.
Right.
But the reason why the Landmarks Commission needs to review them at public hearing is because the original windows on this house would have been multi-light windows.
I understand, yeah.
and
And
what
you're
we're
going back to a period of a recognizable reconstruction that's
We're going-
reflected in the building in general.
Yes, we are taking the 1890s alteration, which is really overwhelmingly evident on the front facade,
Right.
and making that our reference point.
I
So that's
understand.
why we're proposing 1/1s.
And and the this is exactly what I'm after. The depth of I want to be sure I've got this. The 4-foot addition, the addition is 4 feet deep, right?
Correct.
And the windows are is the floor taken out of the parlor floor? I'm not quite sure exactly what we're seeing. Are we seeing a 2-story expanse at the windows?
It's a 2-story addition, so the addition's extending from the basement and the parlor floor. Do you want us to go to a section? Should we switch to a section view?
Right.
Side view?
I just want to write the correct thing.
Okay. Does this help?
Yeah. So it's a 2-story. It's a 2-story expanse we're seeing in the addition through the windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I just missed the section in the flipping through. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Questions, Valerie?
Are we asking for questions now?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. If there's anyone, I don't see any hands raised from committee members, so there are no questions from the committee, it appears, or other board members at this time, and there's no questions from the public.
Okay, I have a question about the, if we could go back to the rendering, Jackie, the one we had just before this.
Okay, for the rear facade rendering?
Yeah.
Toward the end. Okay, we're getting there. He's got it.
Oh, that's even better than the front.
Okay.
It just seems to have no reference at all. I understand about the 2-story, but there's something of, it's not framed, I think, is what there's something, it just doesn't even look like an addition to this house.
Do you mean, you're talking about the glazed opening, or do you mean the massing of the addition itself?
No, the glaze. The mass, I understand, is
okay.
Is like a tea house enclosed.
So you don't like how the glazed portion is articulated?
I don't see any reference.
Okay.
At all. An addition is an addition, and there are assorted things that happen in additions, but they generally, it's nice if they have some reference, and this just looks like blowing out the back end of a foreign element, an alien element.
Well,
I don't know that you have to. It's clear what it is.
Right.
That's more my comment than my question.
Do I have the opportunity to answer now, or do we wait for the committee to make more comments?
If you want to say, yeah, no.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. I apologize. This is something the architect and I had not settled right before this meeting, but we had included previously in this presentation, but we shortened it. We had included a couple of what we thought of as being precedents for more recent landmarks approvals. They were at 246 West 12th Street and 77 Jane Street. Oh, here they are. So in our minds, these were somewhat similar in that the glazed areas were, yes, expressing a lot more of the interior in a more in a much more open way than even a T-porch would have had, because you're depending on the frame, just the framing system for the glass itself.
I see exactly what troubles me with
yes.
that, with showing the present, is I remember this one on the right,
Okay.
that there is not magic glass floating. And I remember we talked about that. The fact that there are the vertical and horizontal solids of some sort. I mean, they're not punched, but these almost are referencing punched ones the way they are. And this other one just looks like it's out of a mold.
Okay.
Okay. Are there no questions? Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
All right. Is that it for us?
Is Sarah here?
She was a minute ago.
Yes, Sarah's here.
And no questions?
Sarah's is a panelist.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna
we'll move on then.
Jackie, thank you so much. I'm gonna move Jackie and Raul.
All right.
Back
thank you both. Thank you all. Thank you, committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Next is 247 West 10th Street. Application to install new windows. Seems straightforward.
So we've got Agnes, and Agnes, I see that you have two presences on here, so I'm just going to promote both because I don't know if you're using one for the screen or not. So Agnes, are you with us? I see, okay, there we go. I see two, both are unmuted, so there we go. Agnes?
Yes, I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you going to be presenting any slides or?
Yes, I have the drawings prepared, but I'm not 100% how I should share.
If you'll look on the bottom of the screen, there should be a big green button that says share screen.
Okay. I think you will be now seeing my screen, right?
Great.
Okay, great. So we actually have some history of the windows replacement on these buildings. In 1999, actually, I'm sorry, I should introduce myself first. My name is Agnieszka Moczyński, and I am representing MK Architecture today. We were hired by Bruce Camacho, the building owner for 247 West 10th Street, to propose the windows replacement on this historical building, which was erected in 1947. And actually we have some history of applying for the windows replacement on this building. First time we tried, maybe not our office, but the owner is constantly changing appearance of this facade. He's recently doing the reconstruction of the facade. And actually, while he has the scaffoldings and sheds erected, he is also thinking of exchanging the windows, trying to further beautify this facade. The building, as I mentioned, is from 1947. The three 19th century buildings were combined at certain point into this one brick facade, which has nice modernistic horizontal band courses on the facade, as you can see here on this slide. So at the historical, in the historical photos, you can see that building at first had the casement windows, which were multi-faced. And actually in 1989, he applied for the change to this look, and he applied for the double hang windows, which actually this proposal was rejected by LPC by statement that they were actually not fitting into the after World War II neighborhood. But in 1997, he applied second time, and he was granted the approval for the double hang windows. The condition was though that they cannot be a single 1/1. The commission allowed him to install 4/4 double hang windows. But since he is going through this renovation right now, trying to put multiple, let's say, characteristics, he's trying to restore the facade, adding some fresh look to it. He is still thinking of more useful and more, let's say, simple and more elegant look. So he's trying to propose the 1/1 windows. We have manufacturer who is who decided to manufacture the windows for us, and because of the usefulness of it and the fear of breakage, it happens. It happened a couple of times that while the tenants were washing this 4/4 windows, the panel broke, and it had some damages, and the glass fell to the street. He is still thinking of changing the windows to 1/1, which would simplify his tenant's life, his safety, peace of mind, and in the permit from 1997, the LPC Commission wrote, this apartment house bears little relation in its fenestration and details to the traditional 19th century buildings and houses of the district. They allowed him to install this 1/1 windows because they thought that this look will produce a more compatible architecture for this 1947 building. So this is why we are coming from, let's say, usefulness and safety point of view, and we come back to this project proposing the 1/1 windows instead of double hang 4/4 windows. So here we have some also precedences in the neighborhood. For example, 519, the building on the other side to our building has the double hang windows. But basically, the main points for our proposal are usefulness, safety, and an elegant look. That's what stands behind it. So we are giving some details to the windows. We are actually we distinguished 4 styles of the windows we would have to replace. They are very similar in the concept, but basically these windows are really old and they need some replacement, some work. So we are trying to help the owner to actually accomplish this.
Okay, I think we understand. Thank you. You're finished?
Yes, yes, yes.
I think we understand all we can do. I assume that they're energy efficient and
Yes, yes, yes. They are energy efficient. All of them. We have our specifications.
right.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's a person passing would not notice there were new windows, correct?
I'm sorry?
A person passing by the building would simply not notice that there are new windows. They look very much like the existing ones, it appears.
Yes.
No, they don't, Chenault. Do they? No.
I'm looking at two separate. I'm looking at two
Am
separate
I?
things.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
I heard very badly. So Anita, can you?
No, I'm looking at page A5, and it's a window schedule.
Yes.
But it says existing, proposed, but the existing have divided lights, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
So this is an incorrect
I was looking at a wrong drawing.
schedule, correct?
So it's changing. It's changing. We can do the fine points in the when we discuss the resolution.
Yes,
it's changing
yes.
from divided light to 1/1, correct?
Yes.
The existing windows are 4/4, probably the draftman, but that's really what we have on page. If you look at page number A600, you can see that each of the pane has the four panels, and it's just double hang, but it's 4/4. So you are correct that existing are not depicted correctly. They should have 4 squares. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
That's
we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I
sorry.
was looking at a wrong drawing that we're passing by so quickly.
Yes.
Okay, are there questions?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised from the committee or from other board members, and I do not see anyone from the public.
But I'm glad that Anita's got it under control. Let's go on to number 4.
Okay, great. I'm going to move
Organize the people.
Thank you.
257 West 4th Street, application to construct an extension at the rear cellar.
Great. Agnes, if you could turn off your screen share, please.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay. All right, we have Ehab and Nagi, and I apologize if I got those wrong. Please correct me. Okay, they both should be in.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, hi. Hi. Let me share the screen. Hi, my name is Nadia Lamri, and I'm with Fisher McCoy Architects, and we represent Cape Advisors, the client. We're proposing a single family home, which was converted from multi-family dwelling units, and it's located in West Village. So our major proposal is a rear extension, and we also gonna add a bulkhead addition to access the roof. Oops. This is the black line showing our sites, and this area, the little hatch area, is our rear extension. It's also the size of our rear yard. We have a tiny rear yard, so we're using that as a cellar extension. These are the existing extension of the neighboring buildings with various elevations. And this is the current facade, and this is our proposed. We're showing the bulkhead addition to the roof, the railing, and because of that, we have to extend the chimney a little. It needs to be 3 feet above the bulkhead for code. This is the rear facade. So we're adding enlarging the windows, and this portion is the cellar extension, and this is the bulkhead addition to the roof. This is the current section to get an idea of the rear yard that we're capping. So we're enclosing that to have a extended space, and this is the bulkhead, and this is the minimum 3 feet above the bulkhead chimney because we're within 10 feet of the bulkhead, and this is a code requirement. Here's the existing cellar plan and the proposed. Now, this is open to below from the first floor, so now it becomes a terrace that we access via the first floor, and we have some planters over here. This is the existing roof and the proposed bulkhead, so we can have a roof access for terrace. This is the mock-up that we built. So we have the bulkhead, the chimney extension. Now the chimney is right here where you see the shadow line, and we extended it so it's above the bulkhead. And this is the material and the color of the bulkhead, which is black, made of wood. It looks like we missed a slide. Okay. This is the montage of the bulkhead with the, sorry, this is the mock-up, and this is the montage of the chimney. You see the visibility. This is from the front. This is from Charles Street, from the corner looking at the mock-up, and this is the chimney in relation to the existing chimney. Just to get a better idea. Okay. Now this is further away to get the maximum visibility of the chimneys. As you can see, it's pretty much the same. Now this from the north side, from Perry Street, looking back at the building. As you can see up here, is the chimney and part of the railing. Now this is the photo of the rear from the roof of our building. You can see the neighboring extension and the enlargement of the windows. You can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is now in the summer with the trees. Now place yourself over here for the next slide and look back this way. That's what you see. This is our building. This is the current extension. And this is our proposal. So we're pretty much buried there. We just have a fence at the terrace. This is more at an angle. And now this is the current rear yard. This is a deteriorated wall, so we had to replace it right now just to secure it. And that's the presentation. Thank you. We're done.
Can I ask a question?
Just a couple questions to get me straightened out. Perhaps if we can see the plan of the roof, I think would be best.
Okay. Oh.
Rear cellar.
It's just the nature of the bulkhead.
Yes, and the skylight. The skylight is flat. You don't
Okay,
see it.
I see. It's basically a stair bulkhead with a little vestibule there.
Yes, yes.
There's no activity there.
Mm-hmm.
And from all the pictures you showed.
Oh, which one do you want to see?
At all, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
We did not see the bulkhead in any of the pictures you showed, is that correct?
It's not, it's minimal visible, like, it's not visible, almost not, like, this little black thing is the bulkhead, but there's a fence, the neighboring fence is obscuring it, so it's very minimal.
Okay, I see, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, Valerie.
There's no raised hands from committee members or from other board members, and
Okay.
there are no questions from the public.
Okay.
Let me see if Doris has any questions. Sorry. Doris, did you have any questions about this application?
No, I hadn't done the last one, but I did have this one.
Ah.
Wait, Doris, we'll come to your question when we form the resolutions, if that's okay. We'll entertain. We'll talk about your question when we talk about the other one. We won't neglect you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody who presented and so forth.
I'm going to move the if we're done with that applicant, then if you could turn off the screen share, and I will.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Are you having a birthday party or what are we doing?
Me? No. First of all, my birthday was on Monday. No, just
Happy belated.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
It only came on Facebook or one of those things today. So.
Thank you.
If we can go in order, 462 Broadway, I will call out the various details and we'll comment on them, please, in order. The ATM machines themselves.
No.
And their placement.
Boo this project.
Does anyone
everything about
have a more
it is
sympathetic
terrible.
view than was expressed during the questions?
I also would like to point out that outdoor ATMs, like they're proposing, they collect garbage. People leave coffee cups on them. They tend to filthify the building and the sidewalk near it. And since they have ATMs inside, that's enough.
Chenault, before we go point by point, could I suggest that perhaps we just vote to deny the project in its entirety? Because clearly it's no more than a corporate branding program imposed.
Right. I need a few details,
on
and I can fill them in. I can fill in the few details. We need to say something about each aspect of it to deny it, other than it's just not appropriate. And the strip lights are, I think Pete correctly pointed out, simply against the regulations.
We should.
The sign, yes.
Finally, I'm here. We should note that this structure is an iconic example of the Soho cast iron historic district.
And it's been so beautifully restored, and all of that thing from the French Culinary Institute was taken away and like redestroys it.
Dating from 1879.
Okay, that will be the first whereas. The sign, Anita, can you comment on that the sign?
Yes.
It looks, even if it's a sign bed, it looks weird.
Well, it has absolutely no reference to what it's being placed on. First of all, the placement of it, it's the sign that isn't adapted to the sign band. It's very object-like. It doesn't merge with the building at all. The color is really, someone else said it, I think Brian, I mean, it's just unacceptable. Why not have some really classy letters on the sign band that reflects the architecture of where they are?
So I'm right that it just is plunked on.
So cheap looking. It could be anywhere USA drive-by You know, it's really poor
That's
and
the
has
point
no
of branding.
sensitivity. Yeah, but even branding, you can make it classy. The McDonald's down in Wall Street does not look like the one on, you know, on the route, whatever. It
Do I have
should
to
not.
use my McDonald's that there's a 10-inch high McDonald's on the Champs-Elysees, and they sell a lot of hamburgers there.
Exactly. I think we have to really drive that home because, I mean, there's not many people taking stores right now, so we want to be sensitive to that. But it doesn't mean that it has to turn into the lowest common denominator. This is really, really poor. So whatever comes after this, let's make everybody step up their game. Maybe we're going to get a whole row of banks. It's going to, I mean, can you imagine? And by the way, I forgot to ask about the flagpole. There's two huge flagpoles. Are we going to get a huge red sign? He didn't address that at all, but that may be already approved.
There's a certain flagpoles and certain.
Well, there's two huge ones on the Broadway. In other words, they probably have permission to hang some flags. So I'm just saying, I visualize that. Now you have, I mean, I really vehemently am disturbed by this. That horrible red constructivist thing sticking out.
Yeah, oh, that's a good one. All right, take a breath. We'll get through this.
Okay.
You know,
Namaste.
tensions are high.
Every time we get more, though, we don't want the same thing. Let them know we don't accept it.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
11th
I know.
Street.
121. Oh, that's a nice project. Beautifully done. That's fine.
Nobody's bothered by the rear windows except for me.
Yeah, we've been worn out. We've been broken, Chenault. But you could say it could be beefed up, but it's an infill. It's like a industrial style infill. It is not Greek revival.
Did you say insult or inset?
Infill. Infill. It's an infill of an opening. It's not a. No, I don't know.
Well, on 121 West 11th, my comment is that the roof addition is visible from the street from several locations. I don't see how we can pass that.
It is. It's not just the chimney.
Oh, can we finish the back first? Does anyone object to adding my point of that there's no feeling of reference with dividing the space?
I support
dividing the expanse of the windows.
I support your I support that and your thoughts on the rear window.
I support them as well.
Okay. We won't tell them how, but just to do it. The visibility.
Okay, so
Brian,
if this is the opportunity, I was surprised that it was so visible from several different viewpoints that I had to question why they had to mount a generator on top of a bulkhead addition. That's what makes it visible. Otherwise, the actual bulkhead, the top of the stairs and that small room were not visible. But you add that railing and the machinery on top of that, and suddenly it becomes a very obnoxious addition.
It's also not visible. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so as I thought about it, I thought the point that they made about 8 foot clear on the generator, is that to the sides or is that above, on top of it?
There has to be.
Is there no other place for it so that you could not have that railing and all that stuff?
they could give up some of the rooftop.
Yeah, they are sacrificing the front of the roof without being visible. They have a fence. They have everything to the front street from the bulkhead seems to be reserved for mechanics.
We're denying the generators, is what you're saying.
I'm
we're
denying
denying the height of the bulk.
I'm denying the height of the bulkhead because it is visible from the street.
More than minimally visible.
More than.
Can I just clarify something real fast? I'm looking at the section on 17, and when you're in front of the building, you can't see it at all. It's just when you sort of go further east towards 6th Avenue, that's when you start to see it. Just so everyone sort of knows and understands.
And that's quite common.
And it's very visible. It's not just visible. It's like you're looking square up against that profile.
On what page is that?
So 17 and 18.
Okay, 17. Ooh.
17 is when you're square in front of the building. And then 18
well, you can
is...
never see an addition on the front, ever. I don't know why that drawing is always added.
No, I think it's important.
It's like a broad.
When they set it back, you don't see it when they set it back. You just want to make sure that line is uninterrupted.
Right, okay.
And it's not our fault what kind of buildings are to the right and the left of the building.
Right.
And I guess you'll be looking at the railing, right? Yeah, you'll be looking at the railing, not so much at the generator. But what is the railing made out of?
Well, the railing is there because the generator is there.
Right. I just don't know what that railing looks like. So you'll be looking at that railing and or the generator. But
I think that,
but it's all going to be visible.
I think it was underplayed because if the railing is a spindle railing, you see through the railing,
right,
and behind the railing's a generator. It's not like a wall. So that was just a bad sort of pulling the wool over our eyes attempt.
Well, I will say though that if you're looking from what I think is 6th Avenue, you have a building behind it. So it's not like you're not, I mean, it's minimally visible if I am understanding it, because there's a building that is as tall as what they're proposing. So you don't see through it, you just see sort of that addition up against this already existing wall. So I think that makes it a little more minimal.
I wanted to ask him about the railing, but I didn't get my sound on. Very stupid old man's mistake. It appeared to be just a simple iron railing. Is that true?
I'll tell you in a second. There's like a legend on like one of the last pages. So the lower terrace will have a 42-inch high metal guardrail on the roof. Okay, and then the upper bulkhead will have a 36-inch high metal cable guardrail and a 6-inch high curb above the roof penthouse. So metal cable for the upper penthouse and a 42-inch high metal guardrail on the roof, on the lower roof.
And that is all quite visible.
Yes.
And the building is 9 feet 4 inches plus that, what is that thing called, the curb of 3 feet, so it's a good 1.5 feet that we're getting extra on account of the generator.
64 pages in this thing.
Because 9.4 is not enough for the roof.
Yeah, Chanel.
At any rate, the point is not the dimensions. The point is that what's on top of the bulkhead shows.
Right, it's the visibility. The fact that they said that it was a total of 13 feet 5 inches or 6 inches.
13.6 was the overall. Well, at the point, is anybody object to denying the height of the rooftop mass.
Yeah, I don't think it's so terrible, but I'll go with what everyone else says.
Okay.
Right.
Again, we can't split the thing.
Right.
Exactly.
I think we're okay with the changing configuration of the garden, and the windows she promised would look the same. Okay. So we're all agreed on that. The only thing we're objecting to is the windows to some extent in the back and the height of the roof mass. Correct? Everyone agrees?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
10th Street, the new windows. I could not hear her at all.
Yeah.
And,
very
and the things went by. Is the question, do we want to approve a different kind of windows from the ones that are there?
This
Divided
is
light replaced by
the
1 over
apartment
1.
building. Is this the little apartment building?
Yeah, this is West 10th Street.
Yeah.
And this is the one that Doris had a question on as well.
Yeah,
Doris. Who, Doris?
Yeah, I was wondering why they were raising the rear facade, the backyard. It seemed to me that it wasn't really necessary, and made the rear of the building off center, kind of. If you look
What
at the
project are you on, Doris? What project?
257 West 4th.
$247
I
is
couldn't
what
hear
we're
Doris.
on now.
That
asking about the
Doris is on the next applicant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't have the 47.
Doris, you don't have 247 West 10th?
I have 257 West 4th.
Right, but do you
Okay,
have,
we'll come to that in a moment. We're not there
Okay.
yet.
I'm missing one.
What is the wisdom about the windows? Am I correct that it's simply replacing divided light windows with 1 over 1 is their proposal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the existing is 4 over 4, and the proposal is 1 over 1.
Right.
but as I understood it, the 4 over 4 was not original. Is that everybody's impression?
I understood that to be from 1920.
Well, the original was double hung, would have had divided lights back in the day. They really didn't give the background all that well because some of these windows are those metal windows, which is like from the 20s or something.
Mm.
So these are cobbled together row houses.
Is
That's
that,
what I
is
think.
that so? I got, so I'm just trying to clarify this. I understood it was a 1946 building.
Yes.
Yes. And at that point,
No.
it very well could have been 1 over 1s, but I'm not clear about what the original buildings, windows were. There was some 1997, before 1997, they got rejected for some window replacement. But then in 1997, they got approved for this 4 over 4 configuration. Is that what everybody got?
Well, can I just ask
I
a
heard all that,
question?
but I couldn't put it together. I just heard
On
some
A1, I just want to look at A1 together with you, Brian. If you look at, it says West 10th Street at the time of designation are those steel casement windows. So that I think is what was originally there. They didn't put a lot of time into presenting that because they'd already gotten approval for the 1 over 1 or the double hung rather, the 4 over 4. But I think originally they were steel windows when it was converted. So that's why they had, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that was
we
my
have to propose one thing.
No, I'm just answering his question, what the original building looked like. I think it was, and those are very common in our neighborhood, you know, these little, but they're all gone. So that's why it was divided lights.
What I see in the historic photo, the text photo on the second page is 1/1.
No, look below, but that's the one below is where they have all those little steel windows. Isn't that the same building?
That's correct, but it's.
It was, yes, a mixture.
What does that mean? Time designation photo. The one above it is historic with the bureau's marker. So I know that's from 1940.
Those are when they were, but not necessarily the way it was at designation.
At the time of designation, 69 or whatever.
Oh, I see. So the time designation photo is at the time of designation.
Yes.
So I still go back to the original building, and there's 1/1s.
Well, the original historic buildings would not have been 1/1. They were modified. These are old buildings. They wouldn't have been 1/1.
Okay, well, either they're showing us a photo of a different building that's not the same historical building, or if it's a 1946 building that is built in 1946, and the tax photo is from the 1940s showing 1/1 windows, then I put those two together and I say that seems to be the original window configuration.
What do we want to decide? We've outlined all the possibilities now.
I'm trying to look right now at the designation report.
Okay.
Oh my God. It shows a major alteration in 1947, if I'm getting the right thing, 247 West 10th Street, yeah. And so there's, with landmarks, there's two considerations at the point of designation, which is tough with 1960s because the pictures were taken between 1963 and 1967. And then, you know, when the historic, so this is a vague area, but it's showing alteration, major alteration, 1947.
Does it talk about the windows?
It was 1967, so no, there was no talk about windows.
Because also they're not showing both elevations from the time of designation, only the 10th Street side. Well, what do people think?
There are many choices. Can we come to some decision?
This is not a distinguished building, if I may say that.
You may.
A distinguished structure, unlike the Soho structure. I don't see any problem. It appears to me to be a post-World War II structure, as I said, without any distinction. And I don't see any problem with changing these windows.
I would agree with Albert, and I feel that the steel sashes are not reflective of the rest of the neighborhood. I don't think they serve as a precedent, and I think that the fact that the building had 1/1s, at least partially, would be enough of a justification.
Does anyone object to 1/1 being the recommendation?
Not really. I don't love it, but it's whatever. You know, whatever.
Okay.
It's good he wants to change them to be safe, but they did misrepresent their project, which annoys me, I think, on A5. They don't show the divided lights at all, so that's a little funky.
Ah, yes.
Well,
That's it.
building then, if we agreed on that. By the way, I want to get credit for my being Madam Vice President in that first presentation. When the question was asked and he went on, and I said, the answer is no, and he said yes. 257 West 4th Street.
I have a question, Chanel.
Doris is in line to talk about that first.
Well,
Doris?
Yeah,
okay.
the rear windows, they changed all the rear windows, and it doesn't really give any reason why they changed them, but they also took the fire escape off. But the rear windows on the first floor really don't seem to go with anything else. And they changed all the upstairs windows too.
Yeah, they went from 6/6 to 4 to 2/2. And then they have some horizontal kind of Frenchy things.
On the first, from the first and second floors.
Yeah.
Well, the first and basement, I don't know, whatever it is.
Proceed.
And basement.
A procedural question, please. The calendar simply refers to a new cellar extensions. Nothing on the roof.
It's because it doesn't come from the landmarks anymore, so it's not. It's whatever they present is what we see.
Okay.
It all has to do with changing, so we're sure to get in time for the landmarks meeting following the full board meeting, and so they don't have a formulated thing in time, and we depend on the inaccurate ones from the applicants.
Thank you.
What I changed was construct a rooftop stair bulkhead, rear window replacement, and extension of the rear cellar. Do we object to the windows as presented? And if so,
Well, I didn't think they fit it in with a character.
okay, Doris object. Anyone else object to the rear windows as presented?
No.
No.
Not enough.
Okay. So they're agreed. We never actually learned exactly what the back's going to look like, but it's down in a pit. They're replacing the clearly deteriorated wall.
Yeah.
And there's not much to see down there, so I guess we're not concerned so much.
Yeah, it's a very shallow lot. It's
Who
very
would buy
shallow
that
lot.
house?
Right.
It's barely
No.
enough to sit and have coffee.
Oh no, it's not pleasant, but that I think that makes sense what they're doing. You know, that they might as well regain it.
Right.
And
So we're not.
What? Huh?
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it.
No.
The rooftop, is there a?
It was
rooftop?
teeny tiny visible from my view. Did you agree?
The one thing, I think you asked this question, Chanel, but I think they're putting up a terrace up there, and I think you asked that, and I think they kind of just brushed over that Just to, they're putting up a
I
terrace.
didn't ask. What I asked was confirming that the bulkhead was not a room. That it's to get the stairs up there and out.
Yes, that's true.
It's
And the
terribly
bulkhead-
elaborate stairs not to have a terrace.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and the terrace only has a railing on the rear and not the front. So that from the front, there's no change, and I believe almost no visibility of the bulkhead. So I find no objection to it.
Right. The chimney was the only thing that showed, and it fits into the roofscape. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we done?
All right.
Yes.
Adjourned?
All done?
So the answer is yes. Oh, there's Eugene. Hi.
All right.
Don't forget to fill out the census. I put a link in the chat.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll check in on you.
See everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night. Love your armoire still.
Thanks, Chenault.
I guess.
And Chenault, I'm sorry, the meeting started off a little awkwardly. I was in the middle of an NCO meeting and started the meeting on my phone for you.
Oh.
And
now we get to see you on your bike.
Yes, exactly. How did you know? It's, so yeah.
Oh, go
here I am.
Okay.
But I was waiting for Valerie to jump on, so I hope everything went smoothly.
We did.
Okay, great.
People need to get better microphones.
Yeah, most people don't realize the video is not what's important. It's your microphone.
Right. Well,
all right.
We'll press on.
Thanks, Chenault.
Goodbye. The sky looks beautiful.
But yeah, it's sort of that magical hour that keeps getting earlier and earlier every night these days. All right. Thank you, Chenault. Have a good night.